Hello friends, I wanted to make this final video talking about what took place at AstroWorld a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to see I wanted to share with you a number of lessons that I was able to learn from that and that I think we could also learn as a people. I want to say once again, this is my last video about this. It is because the more I look into this matter, is the more confusing it gets. And I'm realizing, you know what, it's coming to a point where I don't want to even speak about this anymore, because it's getting more complicated. There's so much more happening as a result of this situation. So now, this is what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna share with you some lessons that we could learn from that situation itself, and we're gonna make some present application as well, and I'll also share some perspective with you. So for those of you who know about this situation, we know that there was this concert named AstroWorld, and one of the main there were many artists at this concert. Drake was there and Travis Scott was there, and there were well over 50,000 of people attended the concert. But we know the sad reality is there was a crowd surge and stampede, and many people were injured. As of right now, 10 people lost their lives from the concert itself. This is a travesty. It should have never happened, but it did. But nevertheless, there are some things we can learn from that as a people. While families are grieving, while many are trying to figure out what happened, while there are some lawsuits and investigation going on, we are still able to look at this matter from the past and learn a few things. So the first thing I want to share with you that I personally have learned from what happened at AstroWorld is this: failing to plan is planning to fail. One of the first things that went wrong with AstroWorld, the festival itself, is that many people did not, those who are organizing the event did not do a very good job planning the event.
They say fuck the barricade, yo.
Houston, we for sure have a problem.
They're taking the fences and handing them back.
Taser, somebody got tased.
Things got off to a hectic start at AstroWorld Festival this morning when fans stampeded through the entrance, ripping down barricades and trampling over each other. So it's no surprise that tonight NRG Park is jam-packed.
But now with extra security, we want to show you what it looked like when the festival opened its doors today.
Their failure to plan was their planning to fail, and as a result we saw what happened. And I believe every one of them should be held accountable, including Travis Scott, Drake, all those who are involved. They should be held accountable because they have failed to plan correctly and did not take into consideration the lives of those that will be attended that event. You know, when I look into the Bible, I also see that there is also a scripture here that also speaks to this matter, and we can learn something from that as well. It is found in the book of Luke chapter 14, and I'm reading from verse 28. The Bible says, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Here is the point. In the same way that they have failed to plan, we also must be careful that we do not fail to plan in our activities of life, in our goals, in our decisions as well. We shouldn't be so loose about the things that we do. We should have a plan in mind. It's even been said it's always best to have a daily planner in regard to the activities of your life. If you have a goal to achieve in your life, make sure you take the time to plan things out correctly. Know your move. Take your steps accordingly. Don't just do things just because things need to be done. Do things because it is part of the plan for it to be carried out. Now, when it comes to an emergency, that is a different story. But when it comes to just the way we live life, we got to plan carefully before we make our moves. And I think that is a major lesson we could learn as well about planning carefully. And I will say the second lesson we could learn is this: value people more than money. One of the things that they've done wrong as well is that they did not take the time to value the lives of people, but they were looking at the gain and the financial gain and just knowing that we're going to have so many people at this concert, there's going to be so much fun. This was the mindset. But what they failed to realize is that there were lives of individuals that were going to be attended that conference, that concert, that needed to be protected and cared.
And I think Don Tolliver was like the first set that I was like, yo, like I'm kind of scared for my life at this moment. I got some blood on me.
Troy Finner, the police chief, went to visit Scott in his trailer.
Already at this time, pre the show starting, we were all like already like sardines.
You just feel pushing, swaying, you have no space. The only space you have is to put your arm in the air and kind of put your arms down.
And you could tell like, oh, this is gonna get crazy.
Obviously, money was at the root of the issue, because that's why they failed to plan. They were looking at how much they were gonna gain from this festival, rather than protecting the lives of the people and also giving them a good time. So what we learn from that is this. The Bible tells us in First Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, for the love of money, not money itself, for the love of money is the root of all kind of evil. So this doesn't say money is bad. It says that to love money, it becomes almost like a root or a foundation to carry out all kind of evil. We will look past individuals, we will overstep somebody, we will hurt and kill because of the love of money. Well, this was part of the reasons why AstroWorld went wrong, and I think we can learn something from that. It's always best to value the lives of people above financial gain. It's always best to value those who are within your borders, those in your household, your children, your loved ones, your family, your wife, those you work with. Place a high value on people's lives instead of financial gain, instead of the things of this world, the material things of this world. Yes, friends, we can enjoy them for what they are, but at the end of the day, what's really important are people like you and me. People who has a heart and a mind and a soul, people with a smile, people who has life beating within them. That is more valuable than anything and everything else this life has to give. And there's another thing here you need to keep in mind. In Philippians chapter 2, I'm going to read here from verses 3 and 4. This is what the Bible says. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. Did you hear the counsel? Look out for each other. Look out for your fellow brethren. Look out for those that are within your borders. Just like you saw in the videos, there were people that were crying out, shouting out, trying to shut down the concert because they knew that people were dying. They were looking out for those. They were placing value on the lives of others than their own night of fun. So lesson number 3 that we can learn: there are consequences to our actions. There are consequences to our actions. And I believe Travis Scott is having a rude awakening today. He is realizing that there are consequences to his actions. And not only him, Drake is also impacted. The concert organizers are also impacted. It's been said over $750 million lawsuit is going on right now. And Travis Scott only has a net worth of 60 million. I heard Drake has a net worth of 150 million. So when you compare the amount of money that they have to the lawsuit, is like, hey, these guys are in serious trouble. Part of the reason for it is because in their actions, there's also consequences as well. And I want to say this, the same is true for you and I. There are certain decisions that we make and we think that it doesn't impact somebody else. We need to think again, because the things that we do, the things that we say, it does have an impact on those around us. There is a domino effect. There is a waving. There is a power of influence, whether that thing is positive or negative, So if we do good, listen, it has an impact on those around us. If we do bad, it also has an impact on those around us. But even more, it even have an impact on us as an individual. We are told in the Bible, he that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. He that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And the whole idea is, if you do that which is good in accordance with the word of God, you're going to reap the benefit of the good things that you've done. But if you also did evil, this is not what we call karma. We call this circumstance. We call this consequence. We call this the seed that is sown and the harvest that you reap. So this is exactly what we're talking about here. So Travis Scott and is reaping a serious harvest right now. Kylie Jenner, I've heard that their show magazines are just shutting them down, and things like that. And Nike says, you know what, Travis Scott, we want to postpone your shoe. So there's like a lot of other things happening. Part of that is just the consequences of their action. So whether or not he's guilty, that is for the authorities to decide, a judge to decide. It's not my job. But one thing that remains sure is this: there are consequences to our actions, and I believe that's part of the things that they are reaping right now. So let's look at lesson number 4. The lesson number 4 is this: keep away from the appearance of evil. Now that might sound a little bit spiritual to you, because it is. Many people in the concert will say, from the very beginning, I knew that something was wrong. The crowd surge and the stampede bursting through the gates, and
man, hold up, Trey. Man, hold up, my boy.
People were bleeding out of their mouths and their nose. People were screaming bloody murder, literally.
It's tough to fully comprehend the vulnerable situation that thousands of people found themselves in.
We're begging Travis Scott to stop the music. We're starting chants, stop the music, stop the music. I'm literally in the middle of this.
I was throwing up. They pulled me out. I was sitting there like waiting, like shaking, like I was not okay.
People just wanted to attend a concert. I can honestly tell you that nobody went there with the intent of being crushed. Nobody went there with the intent of losing their lives. They went there to have a good time, to see their favorite artist, but something went terribly wrong. But one thing I believe is that many of those people must have gotten the message, must have had some type of feeling that says, you know what, there was this gut feeling that told me not to go, or maybe my mother spoke to me, maybe something was warning me not to go there. But I believe that little still small voice that sometimes God speaks to us about, and we sometimes ignore that voice, and that is not good. And some people, when they went to the concert, they saw there was something dark and evil and eerie. The word that they described the concert was like hell.
In the VIP section, it was so many bodies laid out.
I'll never forget the look of terror on people's faces. That's the thing that sticks with me the most.
I was flat on my back. I could feel people's shoes on my face, on my throat.
Drake came out, and the pushing got so bad I couldn't breathe.
So many people tug on my jacket. Please help me. I broke my foot. Please help me. I dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, Houston! I need you to keep sending this motherfucker off. From the front to the back. We better make this motherfucker earthquake.
And I had to tell all of them, I will try to come back for you, but people are dead right now.
Took this video after AstroFest 2021.
Right, so these are the things that some of the people are describing. So it obviously shows me many people had at least a revelation that there was something wrong in going to a place like that. Whether you were Christian or not, the fact of the matter is many people did realize something was wrong. And I say that to say this based on what the Bible says in the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 22. Abstain from all appearance of evil. The reason that we need to do this is because we sometimes think we can manage evil, or we can control evil, or we're not going to be affected by evil. That is so wrong thinking. That is such a wrong thinking. And the reason that is because evil is more powerful than what we think it actually is. It does have an effect. It is also deadly. So being in an environment where the music is loud, the alcohol is going on, and all kind of stuff is happening, I will say this. As a mother, as a father, this was not the place for your children. As a father, you don't bring your young little boy, your young kids to an environment like that, because of the potential of what could go wrong. And what we saw was the very appearance of evil that many have failed to pay attention to did turn around and cause a travesty to so many of us. We are told in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Sometimes we think we are going the right direction. Sometimes we see something and we get the sense that it might be wrong, but we just do it anyway. That is not good. We see this is why we need to know God and have discernment, so we can tell the difference between right and wrong. And the Spirit of God will speak to your heart, and there are certain things that you will not do, certain places you will not go, because God will let you know. If it doesn't please Him, since He knows what's best for you, He will warn you, and hopefully you will pay attention and you will keep away from these environments as well. Now, let's look at number 5. Lesson number 5, make peace with God today, for tomorrow is not promised to any of us. The reason I've learned this lesson is because look how many people lost their lives. Once again, they didn't go to the concert for the purpose of dying, to be crushed, to be stepped on. Nobody went there for that reason at all. But how many of them were actually ready? How many of them were actually ready to die that night? None of them were. The Bible also tells us in Ecclesiastes that why will you die before your time? You can place yourself in a situation where death comes to you much earlier than what God ever intended to happen. You can also make the decision outside of God's will that places you in a situation where you can lose your life, and God never intended for that to take place. So this is the reason why every day we gotta make peace with God. We gotta make sure that our heart is right with Him. The Bible tells us this in the book of James chapter 4 verse 14. Whereas thou knowest what shall be on the morrow. In other words, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? For what is your life? It is as a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. So life is so fragile, life is just, you may have it today and tomorrow you don't. And the thing is, if you don't have the peace of God right now dwelling in your heart, what's gonna happen down the road? What's gonna happen in the next car crash? What's gonna happen when the next bullet strike you? What's gonna happen when this weather, destructive weather pattern comes your way? What's gonna happen? You gotta make sure every day that your life is hid with Christ and God. You gotta make sure that your sins are forgiven. You got to make sure that you have the hope of everlasting life by trusting in Jesus Christ. You cannot play Russian roulette with your life. To do that is very foolish, is very deadly. And God says every day, your life is like a little vapor, man. It appears for a little season and then it vanishes away. You got to make sure you make peace with God, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Now, I got one more quotation to read here coming from Charles Spurgeon. I like the way he says it. Time is short. Eternity is long. It is only reasonable that this short life be lived in the light of eternity. I have one last lesson to learn to teach you guys that I've learned from this experience as well. Through it all, God is merciful. Through it all, God is merciful. I have to admit, regardless of the fact that things went wrong and things were bad, when you really look at how much worse things could have been, friends, God is merciful. I know that lives are lost, and whenever a single person dies from whatever it might be, it's not a good thing. It's always bad. It's always sad. But when you think about what happened at AstroWorld, I'm hoping you can see how merciful God is, because out of 50-something thousand and more, 8 people lost their lives and 2 other ones died a couple days later. Friends, I hope you are listening to this. There is still a merciful God on the throne. If we only lose 8 people, although it is sad, but how many thousands were kept alive? Praise God. What I'm saying is the situation could have been much worse. It could have been much worse. It could have been deadlier. It could have been even. Listen, friends, God is good. Okay, so this situation teaches us that no matter how many things may have gone wrong in the world, we serve a good God. Look at Lamentation 3, verse 22 and 23 with me. This is what the Bible says. For it is because of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, and his compassion fail not. They are new every morning, and great is your faithfulness. You know, God is such a compassionate God, and you may not realize it yourself, but every day God raises you and blesses you and protects you and clothes you and feeds you and watches over you throughout the day. Whether you believe in him or not, the Lord is the one who's protecting your life, and his mercy is new every single day. He gives you a new set of grace and mercy so that you can live a life hoping that you will repent and trust in Jesus. But even if you choose not to, God is still protecting and caring. But I believe there comes a point when the Lord allows certain things to happen to wake us up. And that brings us to our last and final point. I will say a bonus point. AstroWorld was a wake-up call to many. This is a positive lesson as well. Unfortunately, we don't have to go to a tragic situation, a deadly situation to wake up, right? But many people who went through that experience came back and say, you know what, I'm not religious. I used to be in church and so on, but that situation got me thinking that I need to change my life. And I think that's a positive thing. That's a positive thing as people when we realize that we have been doing wrong and we need to stop and turn and start to do right. And I think that's a positive lesson for all of us to learn that, number one, I would like to say this. You don't have to go through a tragic situation to learn the love of God, to know that you need to repent. I will say, as you are hearing this message right now, the call of repentance is being made available to you. God is saying to you right now as you are listening, I don't care what you have done or where you've been. I don't care what circumstance has led you to that position where you are right now. I want to save you. I want to forgive you. I want to give you a new life and a new chapter in your heart. And if you will only open the door of your heart and accept Jesus Christ into your world, he will give you a new mind and a new heart, and he will wash away your sins and give you a new character. You see, that's what God is offering to humanity right now. But even more than that, we know we are going to die one day, right? But it is another thing to know, if I do die, I have the assurance of eternal life, and Jesus is going to call me from the grave and clothe me with eternity. To have that assurance is key. Friends, these are some of the lessons that we've learned from the AstroWorld Festival, sad situation, but there are some positive things we can learn from that. 7 lessons. Check them out. I hope you like this video. Click, subscribe, share this video with somebody else as well. God bless you. Until next time, have a good one.